Hey y'all, Brittany here, your favorite Crashpad coach. And during my last phone consultation, someone asked me about my experience as a Crashpad owner. And I was like, wow, like it's so much that I learned during this whole journey. So um, it was very nerve wracking to say the least, but it got better over time. So when I signed the lease for the pad, at the time I was a coming into my second year as a flight attendant. So every year we get a pay bump. But it still wasn't enough for me to live off of. But my idea was okay, once I create this crash pad and I get it full, then I live for free and everything's good. But at the back of my head, I was still stressed about okay, but if I get nobody in this pad, I have to come up with almost $2,000 every single month. I only make about 2,500 after taxes. So the day that I signed my lease, I had to go on a trip. And during my layover, I just broke down crying because I was like, what did I just put myself into? Like, Brittany, you have nobody here, like, giving you any interest in this pad that you just created yesterday. Like, what are you going to do? So I cried myself to sleep, went to bed. When I woke up, I had a text message of someone saying interested. So one of my marketing strategies is on my flyers, I put text interested to my business line. And so that way I can know, okay, this text message is specifically for crash pads. And then any other text messages I receive is for personal. So when I woke up, I had a text message that said interested. And I just bust out laughing. I'm like, oh, Brittany, you're so dramatic. Like, you know, God got you. So I hit that person up. It just so happens that he had two other friends that needed a place to stay as well. And I was like, perfect. So I had them tour the place and they fell in love with it. And then boom, I had three people in under a week. So I'm like, okay, let's keep this ball rolling. So the three of them, they were friends in class in training. What I did is I posted my flyers all throughout our crew room. So every airline base has a crew room. So for some airlines, you have to come into the crew room, check in, and then from there you head to your flight. It's kind of like an attendance thing. Um, so in our crew room, that's also the place where like reserve flight attendants will just sit and chill until they get called. Um, so I posted my flyer and I made sure that my flyer stood out. I laminated it. I put three on the flyer board and it was in color because a lot of the flyers that are in that are like on the board, they're usually in black and white because nobody wants to invest in printing out a color flyer. And then the fact that it's laminated, a lot over time, a lot of the paper got warped, and I didn't want my flyer to get warped. So I made sure that I laminated too. It probably cost like $10 total at FedEx to get all of that done, but to me, it was worth it. So again, had those three people, and then all of a sudden, I started getting that interested text, and I was like, "Oh, we in business." So I would do video interviews, or I would just have them come directly to the pad. Like I wanted them to get the whole essence of how the crash pad was ran. But again, we're offline. Some people don't have time for that. Some people were desperate. They needed something immediately as they landed. So the video call was enough for them. Um, so as far as like getting flight attendants interested, that was super easy. Now me living there. So I had a 3-bedroom, 2-bath condo. And the master bedroom and one of the other bedrooms were used for crash pad purposes. And then I had my own room and I shared that with one of the bedrooms. So the bathrooms were large enough to make it make sense for all of us. And then, of course, the master bathroom was enough to share with 4 people because it was 2 sets of bunk beds in that room. So it was 4 people total in that room. Living in the pad, honestly, I thought it was going to be, oh my gosh, I got all these people in my house. I'm not going to enjoy it. It's too much energy in the house. But realistically, them folks was in and out. There were times in the pad where I would be there by myself. And I'm just sitting there on the couch like, I'm not paying for none of this, but I get to live here essentially for free. Um, and yeah, to me, like living in my pad was like a vacation because I was in South Florida. I was in like the midst of everything going on. I wasn't too far from Miami. I wasn't too far from the beach in Lauderdale. So it was just a prime location to just relax and just have peace. And then again, like I said, my family lives in Atlanta. So it's like, okay, well, if I want to go home and get the city life, I'll just go home for a couple days. But if I just want peace, I can come down to Florida. I got my spot and I can go to the beach because the beach is one of my happy places. So yeah, so a lot of the times I would be in my place by myself, or it would be like two or three people there at a time. And over time, we created such great bonds. I was big on Taco Tuesday. So it's this place in Fort Lauderdale called Taco Craft. Every Tuesday they have like $3 tacos, $6 margaritas. Anywho, I would make that like a little bonding experience for all of us. I'd be like, hey, how long y'all here for? You got to work in the morning? No. Okay, cool. Let's go to Taco Craft. Let's get some tacos and get to know each other better. And we created like a family bond, which I really, really enjoyed. That was like the best part of having the pad, like creating the culture within it, making sure that the new people that I brought in were cohesive with the people that were currently living there. And I feel like that's why my pad was so successful because everyone, for the most part, meshed with each other very well. So yeah, we did activities outside. We did activities in the house. We had a ball in the house. Now I know some pads they like to run it, oh, very corporate, very like, this is just a place for sleeping and all of that. But I think just like it was a home away from home for me, it was a home away from home for them as well. And because of the vibe and the culture and also the aesthetic of my pad, when people left, they always refer new people. So it's like I always had an influx of new people, and just the word of mouth of my pad alone kept me in business. So let's see. There were some pitfalls when COVID hit. So when COVID hit, everybody got the stimulus check, the extra $600 a week. Plus, certain airlines were paying people to not work. The airline that I work for was one of the airlines. So a lot of people have all this influx of money, and now they're looking at their expenses like, I could be home for this. Like, I don't have to stay in the pad anymore. But then you also had other people who was like, with all this money, I can stack my bread and only live and still live in South Florida for $350 or $500 a month. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. So for the people who were a bit nervous or wanted to save like all their money and maybe their family said come home, or I'm worried about you, you're living with strangers or whatever, just from a germs perspective, some people went home. But then there were others who stayed because they was like, okay, well, I don't have a plan B, so, and I enjoy living here, so I'm gonna stay. So with that, I probably dropped down to 50% occupancy at my lowest. But the beauty of all of that is, throughout the course of me having my pad, all of my profit I threw into a business account. So during these tough times, I just was able to pull from the business account whatever the remaining balance was. So it wasn't too much of a struggle. I probably came out of pocket like full rent. Like if I had to tally up the whole time of COVID and the whole time of me having the crash pad, I probably came out of pocket 2 months total of rent. So, and again, I had my crash pad back in 2019 and I let it go back in 2022. So during that span, just think out of all that time of people not working or the airline industry, like not knowing what's going to happen, I only had to come out of pocket those 2 times. So yeah, so above all, being the owner was lit. Living for free was amazing. The only downfall I can say living there, well, for one, everybody isn't on my level of cleanliness. I'm real anal about certain things, the kitchen and the bathroom. Like your room, whatever you do with your room, if you don't want to make up your bed, that's a you thing. But when it comes to the kitchen and the bathroom, like I get real anal about that. So me having to share a bathroom with two other people in the semi-private room, it just bothered me over time. Like my crash pad was a co-ed crash pad. So dealing with men who keep that toilet seat up would drive me insane. Um, Hair being in the shower drives me insane. In the shared room, there would be times I didn't even go in the shared room because I'm like, there's no way women are living like this. Like it just I don't want to get too graphic. But I will say that sink, like all the makeup and everything, like not wiping it down properly or thinking like their level of cleanliness is enough. And it's like, no, like I don't understand how you operate like this. And I would hate to be the cleaner of the person. I mean, the cleaner of your room when you leave, because we overnight. So if I'm a cleaner in your hotel room and seeing how you live, it's like you're basically doing that in the pad. Like the pad is a shared space. There's no like maid service every single day. Not in the pad. How I ran my pad, they would come bi-weekly or monthly. Because again, the culture is you clean up after yourself. So just seeing that was, yeah, I let the cleaners handle that. I'm not cleaning up nobody grown stuff. Also in the kitchen, how people put away their stuff. There was one guy who would just pour a cup of juice or water or whatever, open cup, and then just throw it right in the refrigerator. No top, no nothing. Like it's just out there. No, like put a top on it, or why get so much juice? Like, why get all that juice if you're not gonna drink it? Dealt with the occasional people not washing dishes or leaving with dishes in the sink. That over time, I thought about locking up the dishes but then I'm like, I know the culprit, so I just need to have a conversation with the culprit, or as an owner, you have to have roundabout conversations. You can't just pinpoint one person because then they think, oh, it's favoritism or you picking on me or whatever. So I would have a lot of roundabout, passive aggressive, and that's not my personality style, but passive aggressive conversations with the group to let everyone know or to remind people of the standard. And before it got too out of hand, what I did is I created a Crashpad checklist. And if you went on crashpadmastery.com and you clicked on the freebies, you should have a Crashpad Mastery checklist as well as the Crashpad contract that I used to send them out. Anyway, in the Crashpad checklist, it had like, okay, in your room, did you make sure to, and then it had an array of different things before you left. In the kitchen, did you make sure to, whatever, and I posted it everywhere. Every bathroom, every bedroom, the entrance, right by the fridge. Like I was not playing because people forget. Like people show you their representative in the beginning, and then over time their true habits and true nature starts to pour out. And that's cool. You just need a reminder. So I will remind you every chance I got. The other downfall I would say to living in the pad is me and my boyfriend at the time, we lived together. So he has a traveling profession, and he would be away for 4 to 6 months at a time. So during that period, it didn't matter. But once he came home, he would sometimes want to just be in the living room by himself or do things by himself. And it's like, well, this is a shared space. You understood it in the beginning because you was all down for, saving money for housing and eliminating our debt. That was our goal, to eliminate as much debt as possible during that time period. And we did just that. We paid off cars. He paid off his student loans. Just a myriad. All my credit card debt gone. Like we eliminated a lot of that. But over time it started to eat away at him. Like, I can't do relationship stuff with you when, everybody's here. And for me, it was like, well, I can't have an audience with certain people here. So we managed that by like renting out a whole bunch of different Airbnbs. And just yeah, we navigated that. But towards the end of me having the pad, part of the blessing in leaving was knowing like, okay, this is eating away at our relationship. And he was big on we just got to get our own place. Okay, respect. It served its purpose for what it was for, and now we on to the next. But overall, hopefully that is enough information for you to understand like, okay, how it potentially could be if you decide to live in a pad, or just in general you being an owner, and maybe what your experience may look like. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, if you feel like reaching out to me because you have additional questions, feel free to text me at 507-405-4247, or you can go to crashpadmastery.com and fill out the form so that way we can talk one-on-one. All right. Talk to y'all soon. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. I'll talk to you soon.